Are the Carolina Panthers really trying to trade for Deshaun Watson? Is it hype? Is it hope? Is it conjecture? I'm Tony Dunn, host of the C3 Panthers podcast, and it's time to get to the bottom of this. When news surfaced that Deshaun Watson was so dissatisfied in Houston that he had officially requested a trade, about 22 fan bases throughout the NFL said, "Can we get Deshaun Watson?" Carolina Panther fans were among those. The fan frenzy sort of died down over the next couple of weeks because, Carolina Panthers fans are just not used to having nice things. But over the last week, a firestorm of discussion has once again reemerged, linking Deshaun Watson to the Carolina Panthers. This started with a bold prediction piece put out by ESPN, where beat writer David Newton predicted that the Carolina Panthers would make a strong push for Deshaun Watson, offering up to 3 first-round picks and Christian McCaffrey. Social media ran with David Newton's bold prediction as a report. The report even showed up on FS1's bottom line. David Newton quickly came out and said and reminded, hey, this is not my usual poor reporting. This is just a bold prediction I made in an off-season burn piece. But that hype continued to swell when Jason LaCanfora put out an article titled "Don't Underestimate David Tepper and the Panthers in the Deshaun Watson Sweepstakes." The article itself ultimately cited a lot of things that we already knew. That the Carolina Panthers were not particularly happy or confident in Teddy Bridgewater's play, and that Panthers owner David Tepper was growing exceedingly impatient with poor quarterback play. LaCanfora wrote, "Most to the point, I'm told Tepper is over the idea of a game manager at the quarterback position and ready to pounce on the best proven young elite passer that potentially could be available. And that has him fixed on Watson for a multitude of reasons." Tepper, sources said, is over having to watch his team operate with Cam Newton navigating through injuries or Kyle Allen trying to display he is more than a lower tier backup, or Teddy Bridgewater dink and dunk and protect the football with clear limitations to how bold and adventurous of a downfield attack would be. LaCanfora's piece straddled a line of speculation and loose reporting and ultimately concluded that all signs show that David Tepper is tired of not having an elite quarterback and that the boldness he has exhibited in his time as an owner and as a hedge fund manager only supports the idea that he would be wildly interested in acquiring Watson. Don't be fooled about Tepper's patience in the early years of his ownership, LaCanfora warned. Tepper, he wrote, has been more patient with his franchise to this point than many had anticipated, but that by no means should fool anyone into thinking that he is particularly a patient man. LaCanfora's piece then turned into a treatise on why Watson would make sense, mainly citing Tepper's desire to create a multi-state football franchise where Watson could be the piece that molded the two states, North and South Carolina, together. LaCanfora ended by saying, "So prepare to hear much more about the Panthers and the Texans quarterback as the weeks go by. Some of it might be outlandish, some of it not, but I'd anticipate Carolina be willing to meet a steep price to land Watson, and Watson resolve to never play again for Houston cannot be discounted." Now, after reading LaCanfora's piece, I didn't really think much more than it was just logical speculation. But is there more to it? I dismissed this story as speculative and brewing hype, but Riot Report's Josh Klein assured me that this wasn't mere speculation. He reminded that LaCanfora's piece was basically what local reporters have been saying for months. Now, I was a little shocked by Klein's authoritative support for LaCanfora. Generally, the local beat writers have a knack for dismissing any of this chatter as mere conjecture. But Klein was adamant that this talk shouldn't be ignored. So how much of this is speculation, or are there real legs to this? Panthers media is holding the typical company line, sarcastically tempering expectations at every turn available. And as far as I can gather, nothing much has changed, or at least no new news has surfaced. Carolina has been awkwardly blunt that Teddy Bridgewater is not the guy going forward. From the beginning of the offseason, Matt Rule said this: Teddy has to have a tremendous offseason. Part of a quarterback in this league is being able to withstand the physical toll of the season and playing your best football at the end of the year. I don't think I've seen that from him. As Lockenfor also noted, David Tepper has not been particularly supportive of Teddy Bridgewater going forward. When asked about the Panthers quarterback situation, David Tepper said this: I think when you get to quarterbacks in the NFL in general, you always want to try to figure out, do you have the best that's in that position right now? And that's that constant evaluation and reevaluation of that. And that's what we'll constantly go through. He continued, it's an ongoing process, and it's a question of who can be that guy that can help you win. That's the most important position on the field. Unless you have that guy for sure that gets you to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl, you have to keep reevaluating that, because that's the only thing that matters is Super Bowls. And until you have that guy, you're evaluating every year. And therefore, the Panthers have come out and explicitly said, we are evaluating in hopes of finding the quarterback that will get that Super Bowl for them. Now, Deshaun Watson is clearly a guy that we believe that could do this. We've also got more and more evidence to believe that Teddy Bridgewater is not the answer in Carolina. When General Manager Scott Fitterer declared we will be in on every deal in his opening presser, and then days later, news surfaced that Carolina made a sincere trade offer for Matthew Stafford, we all knew that the writing was on the wall for Teddy Bridgewater. But it's whether that trading for Deshaun Watson or trying to find a solution in the draft is the question that we do not have an answer just yet. Overshadowing all of this has been Deshaun Watson's desire to be traded, as Carolina remains what seems to be just outside the comfort zone of landing a franchise quarterback through the NFL draft. So, is Carolina in the market for a quarterback? Yes. Would they be willing to make a deal with Houston for Watson? One would think. Do they have what it takes to land him? That's a tougher question. We can all develop theoretical trade proposals where we give up to like 5 or 6 first-round draft picks, but do the Carolina Panthers really have the assets to give to Houston without derailing their whole franchise? The speculation, though, is still brewing, as the Carolina Panthers have quickly tried to open up some cap space over the last couple of days by cutting Trey Boston, Stephen Weatherly, Mike Pilardi, and even restructuring Matt Paradis' contract. But Bill Voth again tried to temper expectations by reminding trading Christian McCaffrey isn't just as simple as it seems. He tweeted, with so much cap talk out there right now, here's this for some context going forward. The Panthers would take a $21 million cap hit if they traded Christian McCaffrey. So while it's easy to toss his name on top of speculation, the reality is something different. Now, my question to Bill, though, is if we traded Christian McCaffrey, why does the cap hit go to the Carolina Panthers and not to the team that he was traded? We'll have to ask him for more information on that. Do the Panthers have what it takes to make a deal that would work? Right now, the Houston Texans have been adamant that they're not interested in trading Deshaun Watson, so the deal would have to be sweet. Sure, the 8th overall pick is enticing, multiple firsts, and maybe some player options. Like we've heard Christian McCaffrey's name. Some people have floated out names like Jeremy Chin or Brian Burns, maybe even probably more realistic, a Shaq Thompson or a Dante Jackson. But there are other teams in the mix that also have a lot to offer. The Miami Dolphins also have 2 first-round draft picks this year, a 3rd overall and an 18, and they've got Tua Tagovailoa that could be part of their package. And the Dolphins are coming off a 10-win season, which shows that they're poised to take the next step. which could be enticing to Watson. Remember, Watson has a no trade clause in his contract, so it's not just the deal, but he'll also have to approve the destination. The New York Jets are also another interesting suitor for Deshaun Watson. Currently, they have the second most cap space with $68 million. They have 2 first-round picks, including the second overall, which could be used to land your next franchise quarterback if you're the Houston Texans. I found some smart fan talk on this. At KongZ80 says, I don't think Carolina has the assets. We wouldn't want Bridgewater, and CMC is too expensive for an RB. Texans need several firsts for 2021, including one of the top picks, along with firsts in the next 2 years and defensive starters. The only teams that accommodate are Miami and the New York Jets. At NC Pride says, Miami has the best shot in my opinion. Jets need so much, so many holes. If they give up all this draft capital, they will still be a bad team, even with Watson. Miami did well last season, needs less, has the draft capital, minority coach, tax-free income. If Houston trades, Miami got the gas. So Panther fans, is this hype? Is it hope, or is there something more? Clearly, the Carolina Panthers have their eyes set on landing a franchise quarterback, and Deshaun Watson could be that guy. But can it happen is a more difficult question. Go ahead and jump in the comments section and let me know if you think the Panthers can pull this trade off, or if the answer is through the NFL draft. We'll be monitoring this situation closely on the C3 Panthers podcast. It's the longest running Panthers podcast. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Check us out 9 p.m. Tuesday nights live on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. And until then, keep pounding.